I'd rather she just disappeared. Anderson says this right to my face. He doesn't lower his voice. Why would he? To him, I am just his deaf-mute fiancé, a broken doll. He laughs with his rich friends, swirling his whiskey. She saw my most pathetic moments, he sneers. Honestly, it's embarrassing to bring her out. I clutch my juice glass until my knuckles turn white. 5 years ago, we stood on a hospital ledge together. Two broken, silent souls against the world. He signed forever with shaking hands. He promised never to let me down. Then a miracle crash fixed him. Now he's the city's hottest tycoon. He has his voice back, and he uses it to stab me in the back. If she vanishes, I can keep the good memories, he tells them. My blood runs cold. He thinks I live in a silent world. He has no idea. I'm not deaf. I feigned silence for 5 years just to save his life, and I heard every single word. On the day of his birthday party, Anderson took me to meet his old friends. He knew I couldn't hear, so he taught everyone sign language on the spot, just so they could sign one phrase. Nice to meet you, Camille. My face burned. I clutched my juice, sitting quietly beside him, calculating the perfect moment to reveal my secret. It was going to be my gift for his 30th birthday. Anderson was high on life. Drink after drink disappeared. The smile on his face was permanent. He chatted constantly with his friends, occasionally getting dragged off to sing. The party was loud, electric. I was genuinely happy for him. He was born for greatness. He never should have been broken. Now that he was back to normal, the city's hottest new money tycoon, those looks of disdain and mockery from the past had transformed into worship and envy. My Anderson had finally been reborn. I watched him quietly. Checking the time, I waited until he slumped next to me, exhausted from playing, and tugged at his shirt. He looked back, his smile dripping with affection, and started signing. Camille, are you tired? I shook my head and signed back. I have something to tell you. It's important. Anderson nodded. He was just about to pull me out of the private room when Travis, one of his bros, clamped a hand on his shoulder. Don't run off, man. Have a couple more with us? Travis didn't loosen his grip. Anderson pointed at me. Worried I couldn't hear the conversation, he signed while he spoke. Camille has something to tell me. I'm stealing her for a second. I looked at him, then at the hyped-up crowd in the room. I thought for a second, then shook my head at Anderson. We can talk later. It's rare for you guys to get together. Have fun. Watching my hands move, the corner of Anderson's mouth ticked up. He reached out, ruffled my hair, and mumbled under his breath. My Camille is such a good girl. He didn't sign it, but simple words like that, I could read them on his lips perfectly. His compliments were loud, and his public displays of affection were shameless. It was enough to make me bury my head in my chest, my face burning hot. Whenever that happened, Anderson just smiled wider. Camille is cutest when she's shy. He loved teasing me. He knew sweet talk turned me beet red, but that just made him laugh harder. He thought it was adorable. Travis, sitting next to him, seemed interested in the show. Bro, so you really doing the whole true love thing? You actually gonna put a ring on it? Hearing that, Anderson leaned back into the sofa shadows. I could only catch the line of his jaw. His lips were hidden from view. For the deaf, if hands aren't flying, you rely on lips to survive. If you can't see the lips, the world just goes dead silent. Anderson's move was deliberate. He didn't want me reading his lips for this part of the conversation. I wondered what he was saying. Was it more sappy stuff that would make me blush? I was busy guessing when Anderson started to answer. He sounded serious. Camille is great. I broke down 1,000 times over the last 5 years, and she scraped me off the floor every single time. I'm grateful. I love her. But she is deaf. Born that way. Broken forever. She witnessed my most pathetic moments. Every time I look at Camille, every time I have to use my hands to talk, it drags me back to the wheelchair. It reminds me of the past. Honestly, it is suffocating. And that is not even the main thing. The important part is that I am back now. The Anderson family is finally taking over the capital. If people find out I married a mute, the sharks in the boardroom will laugh me out of the city. If I'm being real, part of me wishes she just vanished right after I got better. Then I would probably remember her as this perfect memory for the rest of my life. A massive regret. Travis looked like he had swallowed a bug. The shock was plastered all over his face. So, you're not marrying her? Anderson shook his head. I will marry her. Who else stayed by my side for 5 whole years? As he said it, he grabbed my hand, squeezing it tight. His eyes were swimming with affection. It looked so real you couldn't tell it was a lie. My face stayed frozen in a calm mask, but my heart was hammering against my ribs, and there was this indescribable pain, because I heard every single word. I had a secret, one I buried deep for 5 years. I wasn't born deaf or mute. The first time I met Anderson, my parents had just been in an accident, a hiking trip gone wrong. I waited outside the operating room for 24 hours. Then I camped outside the ICU for 2 weeks. I never got to see them wake up. In a single night, the only 2 people in the world who shared my blood were gone. The shock was a sledgehammer. I cried until my body gave out and I blacked out. When I woke up, my voice was gone. The doctor called it hysterical aphonia. My emotions had spiked too high, and my body's defense mechanism slammed the emergency shut-off switch. He said I would recover in 2 or 3 months. Between the grief and the silence, I was drowning. The depression was heavy, suffocating. I went up to the hospital rooftop, desperate for fresh air. That was where I found Anderson. He was standing on the ledge, ready to jump. I didn't think. I sprinted and tackled him. We crashed onto the hard concrete. My arm scraped raw against the rough surface, skin peeling back, blood oozing. The pain made me gasp, sucking in a sharp breath of cold air. But I couldn't speak. I couldn't scream. I just pointed at him, then at myself. He looked at me, his eyes blank and confused. I stood up furious and drew a giant X in the air over the edge of the roof. He understood. Suicide. Off the table. He smiled, but it was bitter. There was no light in his eyes. But jumping takes a specific kind of insane courage. Collapsed on the floor. Anderson didn't have enough left in the tank for round 2. He picked up a loose pebble and started scratching words onto the concrete floor. You shouldn't have saved me. It took everything I had to get up here. Now it's ruined. I read the jagged letters. Without hesitating, I reached out and smacked him on the back of the head. Then I snatched the pebble from his hand. I wrote back, the world is full of suffering. You can't just run away. Unless you truly have zero attachment to this world. That is true, then go ahead. Jump. No guilt. He couldn't do it. I could see it in his posture. Anderson was trapped in a spiral of despair, flirting with death but secretly begging for a lifeline. He wanted someone to pull him out of the abyss. I decided to be that person. person. Saving a life creates good karma. I wanted to build up some good karma for my mom and dad on the other side. That was how we met. I learned his story. Anderson was the golden boy, the chosen one, crushed by a car crash. Deaf, mute. The doctor said his recovery was a pipe dream. The fall from glory broke him. But because I had lost my voice, Anderson thought I was just like him. One of the broken ones. He pushed the rest of the world away, but he let me in. He thought we were the same. To keep him alive, I lied. I signed to him. I was born like this. I have never heard a sound. I have never spoken a word. You think you have it bad? You have hope. Live for it. Wait for your miracle. A white lie can bloom in a desert. Back then, Anderson needed someone to carry the weight of the pain with him. He needed to know he wasn't walking through hell alone. And I was right there. We met on the hospital rooftop. I saved him. We became friends. Day by day, the friendship shifted. It grew into something deeper. He confessed to me on that same rooftop. His hands moved with desperate sincerity. I thought this world was garbage. Then I met you. Camille, even if I stay like this forever, if I have you, I won't suffer. Because I have you. He made a vow. Anderson will never let Camille down. The sunset was blazing that day. The golden light washed over him. He stood there, glowing, and reached his hand out to me. He promised me forever. I fell for him. I fell for the broken boy in front of me. There was no turning back. But after we got together, the world didn't get kinder. We faced the eye rolls and the sneers. A deaf and mute couple doesn't have an easy path. The people who used to hate him when he was on top now went out of their way to bully him. But through 5 years of pure malice, we never let go of each other's hands. I thought he was my endgame. I thought that if we could survive hell, we would share heaven. Then came the second car accident. He wasn't deaf anymore. He wasn't mute. His voice was deep, rich, and mesmerizing. I found myself falling in love all over again just listening to the sound of it. I was getting ready to tell him my secret, but I never got the chance. I realized that my 5 years of loyalty weren't a gift to him anymore. They were baggage. They were a burden. It wasn't just disappointment. It wasn't just sadness. It was tragic. There is a cruel truth about human nature. People can share the suffering, but they cannot share the glory. We can survive the storm together, but we drift apart in the calm. Anderson and I were the living proof. A wave of nausea hit me. He reached out, trying to pull me into a hug. I shoved him away. Hard. I didn't look back. I just turned and bolted out of the private room. If his love wasn't pure, then I didn't want it. Period. I left without a word, leaving him embarrassed in front of his crew. Anderson was furious. My phone buzzed with a text from him. All my boys are here. You just bolted without saying a word. How am I supposed to explain that? Whatever. Cool off. I'm not coming home for a few days. I stared at the screen. The irony tasted like ash in my mouth. The old Anderson? If I had run off like that, he would have panicked. He would have been terrified that I was hurt or in danger. He would have chased me down and stayed by my side until I smiled again. But this new Anderson? His first instinct was to worry about his reputation. He was embarrassed by me. I couldn't even describe the feeling. Suffocation. It felt like a boulder was sitting on my chest, crushing my lungs. I wanted to die. I was drowning in grief, but the phone in my hand wouldn't stop pinging. Anderson and I both had a habit of using social media. We used to share our daily lives. Even if no one watched, it was a silent outlet for us. Anderson had just posted an update. I couldn't stop myself. Like a masochist, I opened the app and tapped on the photos. He was at the beach with a group of friends. Everyone was laughing. Anderson had one arm draped around the neck of a girl I didn't recognize, a beer bottle in the other hand. His eyes were full of joy, carefree, unburdened. He wasn't worried about me at all. He was happy. In that moment, we were at opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. Anderson needed to vent. For 5 years, he had swallowed the insults and the eye rolls. Now that he was back on top, he wanted to scream it from the rooftops. He wanted the whole world to know he was normal again. For 2 weeks, Anderson was a party animal. His social media updated like clockwork every day. Beach parties, VIP rooms, galas. He was everywhere. And I was the torture victim. I clicked the photos, zoomed in, analyzed every pixel, then closed it. I was using the pain to callous my heart. I needed to stack up enough disappointment so that when I finally walked away, I wouldn't look back. We had been together for 5 years. I knew his circle. Even the friends I hadn't met, I knew them through his stories. I could recognize them instantly. So when I saw a girl I had never heard of appearing in his photos again and again, I knew. We were drifting apart. The gap was becoming an ocean. I was sitting on the couch zoning out when Tegan FaceTimed me. Camille, there is a charity gala the day after tomorrow. My dad is forcing me to go, but I refused to find a date. Come with me. Tegan was my best friend. She was old money, but she didn't act the part. No princess attitude, just a loud laugh and a sunny vibe. We met at the hospital right after I lost my voice. It was inconvenient. I couldn't even call a nurse when the hospital was busy. I was helpless. Tegan happened to walk by. She helped me. We became friends. Pure, uncomplicated friends. She even learned ASL just for me. Watching her on the screen, her hands moving through the signs clumsily but earnestly, I felt a spark of warmth in my chest. I didn't want to go out, but seeing the hopeful look in her eyes, I nodded. I didn't expect to run into Anderson at the gala. He was in a sharp tuxedo. A woman, dressed to kill in a stunning gown, was clinging to his arm. When she saw me, her eyes flashed with hostile energy. It was the girl from the photos, Courtney. Anderson's face darkened when he saw me. Camille, what are you doing here? He instinctively raised his hands to sign, but then he froze. He looked around at the crowd of elites. He remembered where he was. He dropped his hands, put on a stiff, unnatural smile, and spoke the words instead. Victor, a rival CEO who had always hated Anderson, didn't miss a beat. He saw the hesitation. Mr. Anderson isn't your fiancée. A mute? Oh right, she's deaf and mute, just like you were. If you don't sign to her, how is the poor girl supposed to know what you are saying?